Hello and welcome everyone, it's Capcan and we're gonna look at the Protection Warrior talent tree that is coming to us in the Dragonflight, which means there will be some interesting stuff probably added to the specialization itself, as well as we've already saw most of the things that are here on the main warrior tree that I've reviewed in another video. And now let's go, and we see our Ignore Pain as the talent that you have to choose anyway when you're playing Protection, and it's very logical that it is here. The second one is Revenge. Okay, so that's the skills that we have already. Here we have Demoralizing Shout. Demoralizes all enemies within 10 yards, reducing the damage they deal to you by 25% for 8 seconds. Again, nothing new. Devastator is a current talent that we have already. Your auto attacks deal an additional damage and have chance to reset the remaining cooldown of Shield Slam, and it replaces your active ability Devastate, which can be very cool if you want to change your rotation, if you don't want to use useless skills and all that stuff. So yeah, it will definitely open up time and rotation slots for you to weave in more defensive skills, more skills that deal more damage, more AoE skills instead of the Devastate. But to be honest, I'm not really in the current meta for Protection Warriors, which means that you maybe can even not take this talent, but I surely seriously doubt it. Here we have Last Stand, increases your maximum health by 30% for 15 seconds and instantly heals you for that amount, which is again the skill that we currently have. Now let's go 3 for 3. Not 3 for 3, but some section of 3, then other section, and then other section. Now the section that goes after Demoralizing Shout. Booming Voice. Demoralizing Shout also generates rage and increases damage you deal to affected targets by 20%, which is probably pretty cool in your Mythic Plus. Revenge deals 20% more damage or 50% more damage when your successful dodges or parries have made it cost no rage, which is Revenge again is AoE skill, pretty good for Mythic Plus. I'll just put the skill point there so I can go with Challenging Shout. Taunts all enemies within 10 yards to attack you for 6 seconds. It may be not the most useful skill. Depends on the situation, because you'll probably most of the time have all the aggro that you can have anyway, just because the aggro is not a problem currently, but still can be quite useful, can be quite handy in different situations. Taunt all enemies within 12 yards to attack you for 6 seconds and interrupts all spell casting within 12 yards and prevents any spell in that school from being cast for 6 seconds. So AoE interrupt, which Disrupting Shout, and that's Challenging Shout. I guess it just it makes your Challenging Shout better, and probably it's not a standalone different skill, but it doesn't says here that it will replace the Challenging Shout, which means that it's probably just another cooldown. And you have now 2 AoE aggro shouts, which with one of them interrupts your targets in AoE. Now choose one. Show of Force. Revenge damage increased by 10% and it increases the damage of your next Thunderclap. So here this part of the tree is heavily emphasized on AoE damage, and it is probably cool to pick in Mythic Plus. And second talent is Improved Heroic Throw. Heroic Throw deals 100% increased damage and inflicts deep wounds. Well, that's the one thing that you can probably. I don't really know if you will take it, especially instead of Thunderclap. Maybe if your deep wounds will deal enough damage and stuff like that. So yeah, I guess Show of Force looks way juicier and way better in this situation, but again, maybe in raids, maybe if Heroic Throw deals a lot more damage now than it was in the past. Third talent, Thunderlord, increases the radius of Demoralizing Shout by 5 yards. Each enemy hit by Thunderclap reduces the remaining cooldown on Demoralizing Shout by 0.5 seconds up to 4 seconds. And cooldown on the Demoralizing Shout 45 seconds, which means that you will have much bigger uptime of reducing damage dealt to you again, mostly in the AoE situations, which means that it is pretty good choice for your Mythic Plus talent tree version. Yeah, now choose one. Heavy Repercussions. Shield Slam generates 3 more rage and extends the duration of shield block by 1 second. If I'm not mistaken, maybe we already have similar to that talent, or we had it in the past, but still more rage generation and increasing the duration of shield block means more defense, more ability to just deal more damage with spending your rage. And into the fray you gain 2% haste for each enemy or ally within 10 yards, up to 10% haste. I guess that's the talent that we currently have again. And again, Into the Fray specializes on your AoE, because for each enemy or ally within 5 yards. But wait a second, it will be quite handy in raids as well, because there are a bunch of allies within 10 yards nearby to you, but in Mythic Plus that's definitely pretty good talent. And yeah, I'm getting the vibe of a AoE part of the tree over here. Now strategies: the Devastate, Thunderclap, Revenge and Execute have a 30% chance to reset the remaining cooldown on Shield Slam. Devastate. Does it mean that Devastator and your auto attacks will have additional chance to reset the remaining cooldown of the Shield Slam? Probably. Thunderclap, Revenge and Execute. Okay, so you can weave more your Shield Slams into the rotation. Your attacks have a chance to make your next Execute Cost No Rage be usable on any target of their health. So that's just pure damage. Talent that we already have in different talent trees of the warrior currently. Blood Surge. Your periodic bleed effects have a chance to grant you 5 rage. If you will use Rend, and if you will somehow proc Deep Wounds from the maybe other part of your general tree, it can be useful, because more rage generation means more defense and stuff, and this part of tree definitely way less AoE centric than the left part. Rend wounds the target, causing physical damage instantly and additional bleed damage over time. Okay, Shield Wall, of course, that's one of the main defensive cooldowns that we have, with a very big cooldown on it. You will probably take it anyway. And now third part of the tree, or do I want to? Yeah, I'll probably want to look all these talents as well first. Shield Block lasts 2 seconds longer. One part, and Execute is now usable on targets below 35% health. So Massacre is definitely more damage on single target, and Shield Block lasts 2 seconds longer is just pretty good defense-wise. Both talents are good. Anger Management. Every 10 rage you spend reduces the remaining cooldown on Avatar and Shield Wall by 1 second. Interesting. And choose one. Unbreakable Will. Shield Wall gains 1 additional charge and grants 50% of its effect to all party member. What? So you can reduce damage. You can reduce damage by 20% for all your party members, and do it once every 2 minutes. And if you take Where is this talent? If you will take anger management, it means that you will shield wall. Is this a shield wall? Yes. So it means that you will proc your shield wall even more often, and that's very good group utility. That's very good, because reducing the all damage incoming to your character, and especially your characters in the group, will mean that healer in your group will have much easier times, which yeah, that's pretty cool point of the protection warrior, because for the most part, helping with defending your group was mostly a paladin kink, paladin vibe, and now protection warrior has pretty cool way to do it as well. Okay. So this is more of a single target and just straight out defensives. Now the third part of the talent tree. Brace for impact. Using shield slam increases your block value by 10% and the damage of your shield slam by 10% for 9 seconds. Multiple applications of this effect may overlap. Yes, that's a talent that we already have. And last stand increases your rage generation by 60%. That's if you need more defenses in some heavy situations, when you need more rage, more shields, more stuff to use and to live through some bursty damages. Okay. Now, fueled by violence. You are healed for 50% of the damage dealt by deep wounds. In order for this talent to work, you really need to know how much damage you will do with your deep wounds. If that's a substantial damage, it's pretty cool, because now you have more self-sustain at the protection warrior, which never was quite self-sustaining subclass. And second talent, 30% of damage you deal adds to your active ignore pain, which is again something which is probably way more reliable than healing with deep wounds. Yeah, so like brutal vitality feels and looks pretty cool. That's some kind of self-sustain, but with shields instead of healing directly, which still blocks the incoming damage. And there probably will be way bigger numbers on 30% of all damage you deal instead of 50% of damage dealt only by deep wounds. Okay, now, what do we have here? Bolster. Last stand's cooldown is reduced by 10%, and it grants you the shield block effect for its duration. Again, making your hard, heavy cooldown be more useful, and it is cooldown reduced by 10 seconds, which is good, but not game-breaking stuff. Okay. Spiked shield. Blocking an attack deals 30% of attack power physical damage to the attacker. Whoa, and that's probably very good for Mythic. It may be very good for Mythic. Depends on, I don't really know the exact numbers with how much do you block damage from the enemy and stuff, but you'll probably do it pretty often, and additional damage, faster clears. It looks pretty cool because there's so much versatility in this tree. You can go with defenses, you can go with AoE, you can go with some kind of retaliation damage if you don't really need more defenses. If you want to go faster, may do more damage. You have all the options that you need. You throw down a Skull Banner. Oh, so the Skull Banner, it's the buff for your party members that increases critical strike damage for 20%. And again, if you want to be useful for your group, if you have people that are geared, very very geared in your group, and you don't really need more defensive shit, you can just spec into things like that, and everything will go faster, everyone will have more damage. Deep Wounds, Rend, and Thunderous Roar bleed effects deal 15% increased damage. I truly wonder how much Deep Wounds will deal damage, because there are quite a heavy emphasis on buffing its damage, having some other effects connected to the Deep Wounds themselves, so maybe they will be useful, and then this talent with healing for some percent of damage that your Deep Wounds deal, maybe it will be good enough, I don't know. Last stand cooldown, we saw that stuff. Punish. Shield Slam deals 20% increased damage and reduces enemies' damage against you by 3% for 9 seconds. Multiple punishments may overlap. That's definitely very hard single targets talent. And Juggernaut Execute increases damage dealt by Execute by 3% for 12 seconds, stacking up to 15 times. Which means 45% increased damage, but it probably wouldn't recharge all the charges that you have already. It's cool, it's more damage, it's for mostly for the single target. So maybe raids, maybe PvP, some situations like this. Increase stamina and armor by 5% and your haste by 2%. You can increase your stamina maximum to 10 and armor to 10%, your haste by 4%. Probably, if both values scale. Man, I need to go with all these talents. 4% and 10%, yes. Increase block chance by 6% and your block value by 15%. And if we go like this, 12%. So yeah, you can even invest more into block chance in order to block more attacks, in order to deal more damage with your blocks to the enemy. And here you have just straight up increased strength and armor and your crit chance. So just raw damage with... Man, I like these skill trees a lot. Talent Shield Charge. Charge to an enemy with your shield, dealing 275% of attack damage, physical damage to it, and 110% of attack power physical damage to all enemies within 10 yards. Also stuns the primary target for 4 seconds, so not roots, but stuns primary target. And instead of just charge, it's a shield charge. Generates rage, has 45 seconds cooldown. So that's for you to initiate into the... That's cool for PvP, because it starts, it deals a lot of damage, and it's cool for Mythic Plus, because every new pack you will engage into it, you will deal a good amount of damage in order to have your initial thread going on. You will deal damage to one target, and forgive me for a second. So we've stopped at the shield charge talent, and we've mostly covered it up, so it's a good engaging between packs talent in order to run into the enemy pack, aggro them all, stun one target. So overall, very cool skill. Additional mobility is always welcome, stuns are always welcome, therefore this talent is great. And what do we have here? Champion's Bulwark. Shield Charge grants you shield block, revenge, and generates an additional 30 rage. It grants you revenge. So it probably grants you a stack of free revenge, which means that more initial AoE damage for aggro in the pack, which is just cool. And shield block is good defensive cooldown as well. Yeah, overall pretty great talents. Outburst. Change in 30 rage grants a stack of Seeing Red, which transforms at 1 stacks into Outburst, causing your next Shield Slam or Thunder Clap to be 20% more effective and grant Ignore Pain. Wait a second, I need to reread it. Consuming 30 rage grants a stack of Seeing Red, which transforms at 1 stack into Outburst, causing your next Shield Slam or Thunder Clap to be 200% more effective and grant Ignore Pain. So just using your rage grants you stacks, which then cause you to deal more damage and grants you shield. Cool. I don't... Again, pretty interesting talent. Indomitable. Your maximum health is increased by 10%, and every turn rage you spend heals you for 1% of your maximum health. And again, more self-sustain for the warriors with increasing maximum health numbers. I guess it was already in the game, but healing part, at least I cannot recall. And that means, yeah, it's pretty cool. It gives you that slight bit of sustain that will definitely help your healer, healing you through the dungeon, especially in fast at fast rates. Probably it's not so good in raids, but at least it's my opinion. I'm not really that good of a raider myself, but at least anyway, pretty good talent. Spell block. You're able to block spells cast against you for 14 seconds. I guess on some parts and some dungeons, in some encounters, and especially in PvP, this will be very, very, very powerful. And it will probably grant you a big amount of damage against the enemy. And it seems a little bit unbalanced, probably just because of the like 14 seconds blocking. Oh, block, not reflect. It's just blocking. Oh, I get it. Anyway, pretty cool and meaningful way to defend yourself, but still doesn't give you that much damage as I've thought. Yeah, and way more balanced now. Then Ravager throws a whirling weapon at the target, deals reduced damage beyond 8 targets. Again, this is just more damage, more AoE damage. Probably good in M+, probably not so good in raiding stuff. Maybe it's at some encounters, maybe not so good at PvP as well, even though it generates rage. Well, we will have to see, but still it's a good option that you have it. Now here we have Storm of Steel. Ravager's damage is reduced by 50%, but it now has 2 charges, just if you want to use it more often, I guess. And Battle Scared Veteran, and if you want to use it primarily for generating rage, then it will be way, way better. Yes, if you want more defense, but you're still playing with Ravager and you want its damage, then you will probably take Storm of Steel. And the last talent is Battle Scarred Veteran. When your health is brought below 35%, you take 75% less damage for 8 seconds, and healing you receive is increased by 100%. Cannot occur more than once every 90 seconds. So that's definitely a talent for progging your raids, when you really have to get as much defense as possible, when you don't really care as much about your damage, when the primarily thing that you need to do is to live through the encounter, is to live through the burst damage, is to give your healers an additional opportunity to heal you through the encounter, and that's just it. And it's good to have an option to do that if you need that. But probably in many cases, maybe in many cases you'll still want to have it, because 90 seconds it's quite literally not that much, and it's like every 1 or 2 packs of mobs in M+. But again, if your group is breezing through the packs, through the bosses in dungeons, you probably wouldn't need this talent, but it's still very, very cool stuff. So I'm very glad with how Warrior turned out to be. It has variability. It has different meaningful paths for you to choose. It has interesting stuff. It has interesting new stuff. And I'm just glad to see it. Thank you for watching this part of the previewing talent trees. I hope that you will stick with me and look at or at least at some of other classes that I'm gonna do. Thank you for your attention, and bye.